if you want to get an approach into Palomar, we will give you a squawk and a frequency and just let you take off, avoid class Bravo, fly around VFR. We set up the radar target so that it has CRQ and APP, meaning approach. That lets the departure controller know that you are requesting VFR practice approaches to whatever airport we have in the scratch plate. And the idea is that we do that and we can let you go immediately. There's no horsing around with releases. The caveat is, just like VFR traffic advisories, sometimes the departure control sector is just too busy to take any more airplanes. So there are going to be times when we promise you that you're going to get a VFR practice approach by giving you a code, and the departure controller says, nah. So be ready for disappointment, but overall we think that's going to be more efficient and a lot faster and save people guessing. And if it doesn't work, we'll blame it on management. Okay, any other questions? Over in the corner.
You said the letters of agreement, they are hard to find, and I was actually trying to look them up online. Do you have any hints of how to find them?
You're talking about letters to airmen?
Well, this procedure, for example.
Yeah, this procedure was originally published as a letter to airmen, and it's now in the special notices section of the chart supplement. And if you have the chart supplement, it's page 436. It's like the second or third last page in the special notices section. Like I said, they really buried this one up. The best I can suggest is to Google it, because I've tried to find letters to airmen for a different thing, and it's taken me minutes or hours or days or weeks. It's a real pain in the tooth.
Then another question that's maybe even harder to find. When I was told that there's a letter of agreement concerning when I'm on an IFR flight, I'm flying an approach into, let's say, Ramona, and as I'm approaching this approach point, I'm told to cancel IFR at the missed approach point. It's VFR weather. When I'm cleared for the approach, usually that includes the missed approach procedure.
That is correct. When you are cleared for an approach, theoretically, the common practice is you are also cleared for the missed approach procedure. The deal is, if we are doing multiple VFR practice approaches, you can make the first one under IFR, but then if you want to go back out for more practice approaches, you need to cancel the IFR and request a VFR practice approaches. Does that agree with how you guys do it in your places?
We have a procedure. I'll go over when I get
Okay.
to mine, and might help out a couple things for you. Around,
Anything else? Okay, we'll all be here after the meeting, so if you think of something good, come on. This is Derek.
Okay, for Gillespie, I don't have much, just general stuff. One of the things, for those of you who are familiar with that Northeast Quadrant, Lake Jennings, a lot of people like to call right over Lake Jennings, and that's pretty close when we're pretty busy because you have people coming from the north on the right base. So if you're coming from that area, call us a little bit sooner. Don't wait till you get there. Even though you're at a higher altitude above our airspace, it can create problems and stuff like that. Other thing, just general, not for you guys particularly, is the pattern. Some of you guys might have been in the pattern and everything's going well, and then you get someone in the pattern that seems to stretch it out a little bit further, and you're like, where are they going? I'm supposed to follow him. So just something to keep in mind. That's all our local safety council had, but we didn't have anything else unless you guys have questions.
One question.
Sure.
Have you ever had any people flying approach procedures without being cleared, like VFR, like say the student pilots or something practicing approach procedures without clearances?
We have had that, where they'll come to us and say, hey, we'd like to fly the localizer and practice just VFR. We don't clear you, but we just tell you to report a certain point.
Okay. So in the future, don't do that.
Huh?
Never mind.
Okay. No, I mean, they've done it because they couldn't get services from Approach. Approach said, we can't help you. So they'll say, hey, we'd like to track the localizer and pretty much simulate VFR on the Approach. And we've done that. Oh, guy in the back.
Yeah, so when you were going out of Montgomery going east, I don't have to call you because I'm over flying you, but do you prefer that we call you?
If you're close, because the top of our airspace is 2,400.
Yeah.
So if you're close to that, sometimes it's a good idea to call because we might have traffic for you. But if you're well above that, like 1,000 feet most of the time,
Well, Bravo is about 48 there, so we're like over 3,000 over you. I don't know if you want to call you or not.
if you think you're going to skirt through it, it's kind of close, it doesn't hurt to call us.
Okay.
Man, you guys are easy. Okay, well, if you have other questions, we'll just keep going.
For Lindbergh, there's also not much to say. There are two things that most general aviation pilots ask for when you're flying through the Bravo, and that's the Delta transition and the offshore transition. We understand that a lot of people like to sightsee and try to accommodate to the extent possible. But having said that, we can't always accommodate if we're a little too busy. For the offshore transition, it's almost always done at or below 500 feet. That's for departures off of 27. If we've got no other traffic, we'll sometimes give you an altitude, whatever you want. If you're told to remain outside of the Bravo and you want an offshore transition, it's probably because we've issued traffic to you, and in our SOP, we can't have a fixed wing and any other traffic on the offshore transition without the pilots getting each other in sight. So the quicker you get that traffic in sight, the quicker we'll get you through the Bravo for the offshore transition. And for the Delta transition, it's a little confusing for some pilots. The taxiway Delta is a diagonal taxiway that crosses the approach end of runway 27, and that's on the east side of the tower. And we want you over the diagonal taxiway because you can conflict with departing traffic if you're too far to the west. Most of the time, we'll ask you to do that at 1,500. And aside from that, there's not much else to say. Any questions?
Is there a time that you can land at Lindbergh in general aviation airplanes?
You can land at Lindbergh anytime you want. We're open 24/7. Practice approaches are not authorized at Lindbergh. Now, having said that, some people land and then do taxi back out for takeoff, but that's kind of how they get around practice approaches. We only have one runway, so you can imagine trying to.
Oh, I guess the question is, how often are you having planes land? General aviation.
We see general aviation all the time. I mean, like, Skyhawks aren't as common as citations, obviously, but we do have people land all the time. They'll go that way. We only have one at field. Signature flights work. But if you want to land in Lindbergh, you're welcome to.
Is there a landing fee then?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
I don't get involved in that. I don't know what it is or how semantics and all that. Yes, there is.
$120.
We're going to leave about because they're always curious.
Yeah, none of the stuff that I'm talking about is published. It's just like a lot of pilots come through and ask for the big transition. That's also not published. That's just something that we understand they're going to be flying over the water. It's not published. You just have to understand it's taxiway Delta is the diagonal taxiway on the east side of the tower. And if we're departing runway 9, arriving runway 9, you can expect no clearance for the Bravo at all because it's just too much of a conflict for all of our arrivals and all departures. Given I know that if we're runway 9, you probably won't be flying because it'll be low visibility or low ceilings. However, we do go runway 9 for wind.
In our +1 in Montgomery, what do you call it, the ready room or whatever, where you have the computers, up on the wall there are pictures, there's documents on these different transitions. It's really well done. I don't know if you did it, but it's pretty well done. So if you just go in there, look up on, above the window, there are papers up there, there are tapes up there, and they have the different transitions up there.
Everybody hear this?
Yeah.
So what you're saying was in the dispatch room in Montgomery, there are posters above the computers that have the maps and the details of each of these transitions.
If you're flying through and you're unfamiliar with anything, if you haven't seen the posters, just let us know. We would much rather know that you're unfamiliar with what we want you to do, and we'll give you specific instructions. We'll help you out if you don't mind.
You know, there's nothing scarier to a controller than to give a complex instruction and have the response be,
Okay, so first, for anyone who recognizes my voice from Brownfield, I'm sorry, that was a bad day. Unlike these two guys, I have a lot, and I have names. My names, I mean call signs, but I probably won't go into that. But I might, let's see how this goes. So, kind of touching on what the gentleman over here asked, the first thing I have on here, we get a lot of practice approaches coming into Brown. They want to shoot the VOR GPS down the Pogey. And whether you are shooting that IFR or VFR, we're not talking about the meteorological conditions, your IFR or your VFR, at Pogey, if you're IFR, we're going to ask you to cancel IFR because you're departing to the northeast. And there's no IFR procedure to the northeast. Even if you're IFR and you have a follow-on going to Montgomery or Gillespie, you're going to depart VFR northeast, pick back up with SCT, and then once they get you up to an MVA where they can do something with you, they'll make you IFR again and take you to your next level. There's no IFR northeast, so you cancel IFR and go northeast now. If you're doing a VFR, it's a VFR turn to the northeast. Remain out of the Bravo, remain out of the O-type drop zone. The only time you would stay IFR is if you are doing a full stop as the approach goes to the runway. If you want the published missed approach, I can't offer it. So that, you arrange that with SoCal before you come to, and they're probably going to say no, but you can ask. Or, no kidding, the weather's not bad. If the weather's bad, you can't see the runway and you go miss. I mean, if you can't finish the approach, you can go miss. But if the weather's VFR, probably not going to get the published miss. You can cancel it. You can go VFR northwest now. Like someone was saying, you know, they fly the approach VFR. You can fly a VFR missed approach. You're not going to be tagged up on anything. You're just a VFR departure to the northwest. That's perfectly legal. But yeah, so we do ask you to cancel IFR, northeast departure, and then SoCal will pick up. Go ahead.
Just to confirm, I have to cancel.
You have to cancel.
I cannot.
You cannot. Well, so, what is your IFR missed approach procedure to the northeast? Okay.
Well, I don't know about the specific approach.
Right. But there is no IFR northeast from Bogey. There's no procedure. There's nothing turfed out. There's nothing saying if you fly from this point to this point, at this altitude, climb to this, you will be safe. There's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing there. You're not going to hit anything. But there's no procedure. Right? So you can't go IFR in that direction. Thus, you have to be VFR. So if you are IFR at Pogey and you're going northeast, you must cancel IFR. And if you don't, we're going to pester you. And pester you. You'll eventually just cancel to get us to stop asking you to cancel. We'll switch you over to SCT.
Which approach is this?
The VOR Alpha or the GPS Alpha is going from, we'll go into Brownfield, down to Pogey. And soon maybe a TACAN. We're putting a TACAN approach in there too. That shouldn't affect anybody here. There's one game. They're building one. We have a lot of military down there, so they're putting approaches for that. Yeah, that was the first thing I had to talk about, so as well. And some of us will correct you more than others, but when you say, well, a lot of, not any of you, your students, I'm sure, you know, you say we're going to go missed from Pogey. when you mean working at the bar, BFR Northeast. And some of us will correct you and some of us will not. We all know what it means. But if you want the actual missed approach, the right turn heading towards Michigan, you know, climbing off of Bogey, you have to arrange it with SoCal. Make that request when you request the approach, and they will put they'll put something in the scratch pad that we see on the radar that tells us that that's what you're doing. If we don't see that, we're not going to get it to you. And it's not us. We can't get it. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So if there's a cloud, let's say, it's like climbing right turn 4,000 like I'm about to like
I'll help you out here. If the weather's VFR, you're canceling IFR, or you're landing, you can certainly circle to the runway and land and file IFR out of ground and be IFR the whole time. Make the circle, land, come off the runway, request a flight plan, we'll put you in the system, IFR to wherever your follow-on is, take you out to the runway, put you in the list, wait for the release, and send you off on your way. You can be IFR the whole time, but you're not going Bogey Northeast IFR, and you're not doing the Bogey missed approach. If it's VFR, you can see the runway. It's that simple. All right. You're around afterwards. This isn't my rule. It's just it's.
Can I make a comment? If you get to the missed approach point and you can't see, yes, you can do the IFR missed approach. And when you tell the controller that you're doing the IFR missed approach because you can't see, we are really scrambling to get people out of the way. So we cannot accommodate that for the convenience of somebody who is out practicing approaches. We're not doing bending airliners out of the way because there's traffic coming down the way. If that is your question, yes, if you get to the missed approach point and you don't have the requirements to descend and land, you can do the IFR missed approach. But please don't expect to do that when the weather's good enough that you can cancel. Otherwise, you're creating a lot of hassle for other airplanes and pilots.
And just to answer it a different way, there's only two. You're either in VMC conditions or you're in IMC conditions. Right? If you're in VMC conditions, the tower will issue you instructions. Those instructions will be to depart northeast. You have to adhere to those instructions, unless, of course, you declare an emergency. Right? So that's always an option for you.
Can you make that a practice emergency? Can you make a practice emergency?
No practice emergency. So, that's it. If you're IC, then of course they're more than likely going to expect that if you're not going to be able to see the runway, then you're going to file the mist or fly the published mist. And like Mark said, if you are in VMC and want to fly the published mist, you must coordinate that with SoCal Tricon before you even talk to him, because he will give you those instructions to the northeast, and you have no other option.
Carrying on. So, so communication, it's been touched on a couple of times here. So these are nice. I was here last year. Occasionally people come up to the tower to visit. We have meetings on the ground which are poorly attended, perhaps word's not getting out, where we can do some face-to-face like this. Barring this, our entire communication is over that radio, on the headset. I can't see your eyes, I can't see a nod. To be fair, you can't see me point. I point a lot in the tower. Why don't you just see it? It's right there. I'm not doing either one of us anyway. So communication is important, right? Saying what you mean clearly from both ends. I'm probably doing it now. We have a tendency to speak fast because we're saying the same thing all day, every day. The clearest, touching it, whatever. We're saying the same thing. We're hopefully good at saying it, so we say it quickly. When we get busy and things are happening quickly, we speak quickly. I know it can be difficult at times to understand what we're saying, and it can be difficult at times to understand you. If we're speaking too quickly, if you don't understand something, this has happened. I asked someone to go report over Pogey. He said, Roger, report over Pogey, and flew to the prison. I said, do you know where Pogey is? No, I don't know where Pogey is. Good to know 4 miles ago, so I can, you know, give you a heading or point you at something, or he's not going to go there, he's going to go there and fix the sequence. So if we say something that you don't understand, or we don't get because we're saying it too fast, please say something sooner rather than later. Because there's a reason we're taking you somewhere, and if you go to the wrong place, things are developing around you, and we didn't expect you to be there when we thought you were going to be over there. So just ask us to slow down. Just ask. If there's confusion or question, ask. And we may sound frustrated when you ask, but much less frustrated than if you don't ask and you end up somewhere bad and in each other's way or someone else's way, or in the way of an F-18 or a C-130. And we don't want that to happen. These are the ones where I have call signs, but I won't go over the call signs. It might be us. These guys can nod or shake their head. I don't know. When you call us at Brown specifically and you say you're inbound for landing, we hear full stop. If you want something else, say I'm inbound for pattern work, I'm inbound request touch and goes, something. If you say you're inbound for landing, our first thought is full stop. I had 3 today. One guy actually said inbound for full stop, and then he was going to depart VFR. I'm thinking full stop, taxi back, depart VFR. Which one was he? He got on the runway and stopped, and said he must say no. He was on a short follow and changed it to a touch and go. That was first thing in the morning. There was nobody in front of him. Roger, clear touch and go. Then he's departing. Okay. I got almost 8,000 feet down there. So if you're a full stop, and there's someone in front of you who's a full stop, that guy's landed at least 3,000 feet down the runway, I can land you, right? I got 3,000 feet, two Cessnas, chair, whatever, you can land. And he can be rolling all the way to the end, and then you can land and roll out, and you're past 3,000 feet, and the other guy's a full stop, I can land him too. And you can all be on the runway together. As long as the closest one to the threshold is beyond 3,000 feet when that next guy's landing. But if that guy then says, I want to touch and go, that's not going to happen. Because once he touches and goes, now he's a departure. And he can't depart with you on the runway. Right? Now he's in trouble, I'm in trouble, paperwork, phone calls, that's not good. So, I had one today, it was a Bonanza. Full stop. So I had a champ. Turned him inside, gave him a short approach, did some stuff to get him out of the way. He's a touch and go. The Bonanza then said he wanted to be a stop and go. If he was going to stay in the pattern, I would have put him first because he's faster than the champ. But he said landed, you know. So when you say landing and we're expecting full stop landings, we're going to move some things around to get you at the back so that we have the runway clear for you and just stuff out of your way. If you then change that on a short file to something else, one, you may not get it. Because if there's someone on the runway and you said, oh, we wanted to touch and go, well, you can't. So you're either going to land or you're going to go around. So just be clear. Just tell us what, as soon as possible. Initial call up, say inbound for pattern work. You say inbound for landing, we're assuming landing, I'm going to clear you to land. So there's your second opportunity to correct me. And then you're going to say, Roger, clear to land. And then at the threshold, when you say touch and go, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Short approaches are not automatic. I had one instructor a long time ago. He's not here. I would recognize him. Ask for the option. Clear for the option. He turned hands. So what are you doing? He says, you cleared me for the option. I said, option doesn't mean short approach. Oh, yes it does. No. No, it doesn't. And I went off what the option meant for him in the book. He said, well, a tower controller somewhere told me. I said, no. No tower controller ever told you that clear for the option gives you approval to do a short approach. You know, we get some people down there who take the short approach for granted sometimes. And I know we have a long runway. I know if you're going down the first flight, it's a long way to land and then taxi down the runway. Most of you want to get off at Bravo. Honestly, we expect most of you to get off at Bravo anyway at this point. In fact, those few who hit the Amy mark and get off at Charlie can sometimes be in the way. If you want a long landing, if your intent is to go all the way to the end, make the request. Most of the time we can accommodate that. Sometimes we just can't. Sometimes we need you off at Bravo because something's waiting to go. I have an IFR release that's the clock is ticking, or I got some jets inbound. We'll try to get it to you, but please request it. Don't expect it, and don't hit like a half-mile final at 3,000 feet and say, "Oh, can we have a long landing?" Because that's kind of expected. If we tell you no, what are we going to do? Right? So let's work together on that. And the other thing I wrote down earlier is just no surprises. That goes with the, tell us what you want, and we'll make it work. If you don't understand where I told you to go, ask, so that I'm not surprised with you showing up somewhere that I wasn't expecting. The cold calling, this happens once in a while, and this is, it is, but when you know who you're calling. So if you're on the ground, call ground. If you're holding short or you're in the air coming in, call ground tower. Because on the ground, I'm listening to both frequencies. And I was making a coordination with the tower controller, and someone called ground tower, so I stopped because someone's calling him. And they went through a series of, they said a series of things to him, and then I realized that they were calling me. They were calling ground, but they had said ground tower. So I stopped listening, and I stopped bothering the tower controller because someone's calling me, and they were calling me, so I didn't hear anything that they said. So preface it, if you're on the ground and you're talking to ground, say ground, because that's what cues me in that, okay, he's calling me now, not tower, because I'm listening to lower frequencies. It's not as, towers only listen to the tower frequency, so if you said ground when you're calling the tower, we're going to chuckle at you a little bit, but he's listening to you, he's going to know, he's going to hear what you say. Some housekeeping stuff down there, I know a couple of people have been there today. I talked to one of them earlier. All our taxiways changed designation. It's been a few months. It's published. So just check the charts or ask me later. Go over a diagram with you. But basically, Alpha used to wrap from West End and East End. I did line that for various reasons, and the big long parallel taxiways on Gulf, and the taxiways go from West to East, goes Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. I think it's easier. So my controls are mad at me for making the change. But take a look at that. TFR, someone asked about the TFR earlier. So there's a TFR on the border. It's not stopping right traffic north of the field. It's not even really stopping left traffic south of the field, especially for helicopters, because they can fly a tight pattern. But Champs, Cubs, some of the Cessnas, there's the 905 freeway is just south of Brown Field, and it's kind of the northern edge of the TFR. So if you can keep it north of the 905 freeway, it'll keep you out of the TFR. Oh yeah, the wrong runway thing. Yeah, I know. There's 2.7, there's 2.8. We're 2.6. 2.6. And when you call in 2.8 or 2.7, and we know where you're coming from, we're going to correct you to 2.6. That's fine. But if you've been in the pattern like 3 or 4 times and you're still saying 2.8 or 2.7, we're still going to correct you. It just may not be as nice as that first time. 2.6. It's right there. It's if you forget, just look down. Oh, so I don't know if anyone down here has the Duchess. The Duchess has come in a lot, but then we can kind of plan it a little bit. Then I can squeeze that guy out in front of you because I know that you're going to be kind of long and slow on the downwind of this. So it just helps us out a little bit. Maybe I didn't have as much as I thought. there's someone in here who was from the EAA on there, and I just saw something in the EAA newsletter that the EAA is expanding a little bit. I think they might be trying to put some concrete or asphalt. I don't know for sure, but there's also, I guess the city approved a bunch of leases down at Brownfield for the Metro Air Park. Nothing's being done yet, but I would think in the next year or two, possibly some construction going on at Brownfield, but we'll see.
So when you say we're cleared for the option, what exactly are we cleared?
So an option is a low approach.
Okay.
I'll cover low approaches again in a minute, thank you. A low approach, touch and go, a stop and go, a full stop, you can always go around.
Okay. The only thing it doesn't, the only thing is the short approach.
Short approach is a separate thing. Yeah. Just ask for the short approach. If you want to turn downwind, like especially in a cub or a champ, and you don't want to go all the way to the end, just ask. You know, and for the early crosswind, and we'll turn you. Things to be careful of with that is when you're turning early, you're still kind of low. We have helicopters going back and forth on the north side, which we might not tell you about because they're low. And by the time you're climbing out and turning across them, and now when you're well above them, if you turn early or you turn short, you're going to be descending earlier, and then it may become a problem. It's another reason we like to know if you want to do something a little non-standard. Again, we're probably going to approve it unless we can't, right? I mean, if there's a reason not to, then it's good that you ask and we can say no so you don't get in trouble or get close to somebody. If there's no reason not to approve it, we will approve it. Low approaches, if you want to do that slow flight down the length of the runway, it's technically it's a low approach because you never touch, but just be specific about telling us that, because again, that changes your flight profile and things catch up with you coming around. Your departure on a low approach as soon as you cross the threshold, so I have a little bit of flexibility there, but things are going to catch you, and I may have to resequence some things or turn some things early. Again, when we can give it to you, we'll give it to you. We just like to know. No surprises. I guess that's key when you're talking to the tower. No surprises. From us to you or from you to us. Keep everything out of the open. Sure.
Have you ever saved somebody from landing at Tijuana?
Yes. All the time.
Wow.
And, so, are we out of time to straight?
You're
okay. I hadn't been there long. I think it was my first time opening by myself, and I had an 860 coming in, 860 coming in from Imperial Beach. Told him to enter the left downwind, waiting. Tijuana tower calls over. He says, let me go where you're talking. So there's no helicopter on my left downwind. Yes, I am. So no harm, no foul. We got him back north of the border. One morning before I opened, so we opened at 8. There's someone up there at 7:45. We're usually listening. One morning before I opened, an aircraft coming in from the northwest, broadcasting on the CTAF, doing everything he's supposed to do for landing runway 8 left. And I said, okay. And I'm doing my opening procedures, and he goes right by, and he turns final for Tijuana on 9. And Tijuana runway 27 is an Airbus on short final. So, I mean, I'm close. We can't give control instructions. But I just, whatever his call sign was, it said, Brown is off your left side. You might want to turn left. Made a little left turn. Had a guy report, told him to report over the prison. He goes right by the prison, gets over that power plant, and says, "There's the prison," because he thinks the power plant is the prison, so he thinks Tijuana is Brown. And I said, "You're over the power plant. You need to make a good right turn," and comes right back around. So yeah, not daily, not weekly, but monthly. Yeah, especially if the weather's a little iffy. I don't know. I mean, we have 2 runways, they have 1. There's a wall or a barrier. Whatever you want to call it, we have them right there. But I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the airplane, I do, but we watch it, it happens more than it should. So, anybody?
Any problems with drones flying in or above the TFR in your pattern?
Okay, so when you say any problems,
Have you heard of
drones, are you asking if I have a problem with you flying a drone?
No.
Because I do.
No, they have. Have you heard any?
So, what they're doing in the TFR, I don't know. I don't care. Stay out of it. I don't know what they're doing in there. Are they flying drones above? Maybe. There are a lot of NOTAMs out every day for drone flights, mostly north of me, so I don't look at them too closely. Some very high. I'm sure they're flying them there. I have many reports. Ones that are going to be really close. We're not on the same system that the FAA is. So ones that get really close, I get a fax or an email that they're going to be operating around there. But there's a lot of stuff going on with that TFR that they don't touch. Something to be something to be cautious of at night if you're flying out of brownfield, especially along the border, which is less now because of TFR, but you could be above it. Is and this is probably monthly, but someone down there likes to shine green lasers at pilots when they're flying over the border. Someone down there doesn't like us being close to the border, so something to be cautious of along the border. To the generally to the southeast, so like on file, and honestly, mostly the H-60s or the the border patrol going down there. But something to be careful of if you're on the border. And there's not much we can do about it. I mean, we call law enforcement, but they're, that they can't go down there and do anything about it. It's a green laser they like to shine there. I had something else I think with you, but I'll get back. Someone had a hand.
Just a general question for the panel about the level of stress of your job. I mean, like at what point you say too many airplanes you're not allowed to enter, or what?
So there's no, I can't give you a number, and I've sat in front of lawyers, unfortunately, in uncomfortable situations where he said, well, your controller said that he was at his limit. Does that surprise you? Or did you know his limit was 8? There's no number, right? I could have 9 of you in the pattern. You're all playing well. You're all doing what you're supposed to do. One's, 9's following 8's following 7, following 6. I'm good, okay? I could have 2 of you in the pattern, and one of you doesn't know what he's doing, and it's a lot of work, and the stress level goes up, and you can reach your max with 2 or 3 aircraft, just because of the workload that those produce. Vice 8 or 9 guys are just playing good and listening. So, and I mean, my facility's different. I mean, every facility is different as far as their stress levels, I don't know that any controller would say that his max is this many aircraft, because it depends on the specific circumstances of that session and what's going on, the weather, other things come in or going out. I mean, they can all answer that too, Gary Sack, but I don't know. It'll come to me later. Any more questions from me? All right.
Shane, battery.
Thank you. Okay, pretty much covered it. Thanks for having us. So I'm Brandon. I'm from Palomar, and I don't know. Most of the issues that any controller is going to sit up here and talk about are probably half of them are universal, and maybe half of them are specific to the airport. We kind of exist up in the north, and we're kind of away from the craziness of down here, which is nice. We have one of the 3 ILSs in the county, so we have a ton of instrument traffic. The other one's Montgomery and Runway 9 at Lindbergh. You're not going to get that one for practice approach ever. So there's really 2 ILSs you can use that are viable in the county, and one of them's us and one of them's Montgomery. So for us, we get a ton of ILS streaming traffic. We have one line, and we're going to talk about that IFR mist thing in a minute, because that's a big deal for us too.
We also have a lot of training. We have ATD opened up a branch office at our airport, and our traffic,
at least in the pattern, went like through the roof when they set up camp. We also have you guys, another club, a ton of private owners, 2 flight schools, and one of them's ATP. So we just went, our traffic count just went up like crazy recently. So that's a little specific for us. But again, we've got one runway and everyone's got to use it. So for us too, kind of like Brown, we have a weird traffic mix. I mean, we're mixing Piper Cubs and Gulfstreams all day long, and that's fun. I enjoy it. But one of the things, just like what he said, for difficulty, it's not volume, it's complexity that makes a controller's life difficult. It also makes it fun. But you say the same thing for a pilot. If you want to tack on another 20, 30 minutes to a flight, does that make it harder? Well, no, probably not. If you're sitting on the autopilot, it might make it boring. But if it's going to be full of nothing but missed approach, do this, do that, and they're on IMC, that could be really fatiguing in 10 extra minutes, right? So everyone at our tower has been there for actually quite a long time now. We have one trainee, but that's our first one we've had in like 6 years. So everyone there almost veteran worthy at this point. Other facilities not so much, but we're kind of our own little animal up there. And ever since Plus One came to Palomar, I remember it started really small. And I know the club office moved a couple times, but everybody up there has been actually pretty awesome. I think you guys have a Cirrus up there now, right? Yeah. Okay, cool, right on. A lot of those at Palomar for sure. So a lot of the stuff I would have talked about has kind of already been covered, but I want to hit that IFR missed approach thing, because if you hear it from my perspective, it'll kind of make more sense. So for us, like if you want the missed approach IFR, like straight up publish, straight out off the runway, hit the Oceanside 145 radio, go up there and hold. That's a problem for the tower, because I've probably got 3 citations and a Gulfstream waiting to depart behind you. And if you're going to climb out at 70 knots for 5 miles offshore and then turn, that's going to really make a lot of people angry. So we have an alternate missed approach, which is either west if you're going up towards Oceanside, or south if you're going down towards anywhere else. The reason we have you cancel IFR is kind of what these guys have said already. It's that if it's VFR conditions, it'll work. If it's IFR, no one's going to ask you to cancel IFR. That's crazy. We can't do that. It actually says in the book you can't solicit that, right? But for practice purposes, if you're going to say fly my ILS a couple times and go back home to Brown, could you imagine if you had to fly IFR out of me, then down across, and you're going to join the Pogi 336 radial to go to Brown. You're going to fly across his final and his departures and his final, and it's just, and over the top of Miramar too. And west of Ramona, they're not here today, but you're going to tangle with almost every single other airport in San Diego on the way down to Brown. IFR, right? Could you imagine the poor couple controllers at SoCal? They're going to have to afford you standard IFR separation, and the 27 other Cessnas behind you that want to do the same thing. So that's why we have you cancel IFR. And it's not really because we have anything against IFR. I mean, the system's more or less built on IFR, right? But for practice purposes, you can kind of do our ILS a couple times IFR, but once you're going to go cut through all them, it's either going to be VFR or you can do it IFR once, but not like a lot of times, if that kind of makes sense. And then same thing for published missed approaches. We can give you a published missed actually pretty easily. It doesn't always work, but we can do it because, again, we're not conflicting with 5 other airports to do it. You're going to conflict with Oceanside, right? Who cares? So, so that's kind of one of the things for us at Palomar, if that helps you with your question a little bit. And then another thing too, at Palomar, again, because we've got a lot of jets and they're all going straight out, everybody departs on a 250 heading unless we coordinate something else. And even if we're runway 6, everybody's coming in over the shoreline and then swinging back out over the shoreline on a departure, because we can't go straight east. They can't climb fast enough. Doesn't meet TERP standards. So the only issue we've really had lately is just a lot of people going up and down the shoreline at like 3,500 feet, or about maybe 3-4 miles offshore. And that's a really big problem, because if we're not talking to someone at 3,500 feet off the departure end, we basically got to stop up all the jets. I mean, I can't fire off a Gulfstream at a VFR airplane I'm not talking to at 3,500 feet. They're all climbing to 3,000. So it's kind of an issue. So one thing that we always say is that, just give us a courtesy call. Like we like to talk to airplanes. A lot of people think that we don't, but we do. And even if you're just outside the Delta, we really do like courtesy calls. I make sure to thank everybody for doing that when they do it. Same thing when you're going up and down the 15, 3,500, 4,500, going up and down the 15, perfect altitude, right? Well, not so much for jets coming in on the ILS, right? So we just appreciate courtesy calls. We like to talk to everyone, we're slamming busy, okay, be judicious about it. But if you're going to cross a final or a departure at pretty much any towered airport, I think most people appreciate courtesy calls. Would you guys agree? Okay, yeah. I know there's already a specific question about that earlier too, even over the top. I think other points I was going to make were pretty well covered, but I guess if maybe we'll just start like the Q&A time with me and then just kind of pass it back down that way if you guys want to do that. Sound good? Okay, your hand went up first, then you guys over here. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. All of us appreciate you being here tonight and all the work you do every day.
We're happy to be here. We're happy to do it.
Absolutely. So, a non-technical question.
Sure.
Are you getting paid these days?
I'm getting paid.
He is. We don't like him.
Nobody likes me.
No, we're kidding. You know, yeah, I mean, without getting too political, I mean, the answer is pretty well published. No, we're not. We're not getting paid. I mean, this coming, well, tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on which one you're on, would be the second missed paycheck. So, yeah, we haven't paid a month, is the answer. Yeah. Someone tried that. Yeah, you over in the shirt. Yeah. Yeah, you know, the 500 feet up the shoreline thing works great. You're not really conflicting with anybody except the other person doing the same thing. A couple of helicopters, that's about it. So, no, at 500 feet on the shoreline's fine with me. Yeah, shoreline, yeah, at Palomar it's called a shoreline transition. That's cool, yeah. We might add it below 1,000. I mean, that's no problem. The shoreline's almost 3 miles west, so. If you go right over the top, no problem. If you're 3,500 feet, like 4 miles offshore, that's a big problem. But you know, and same thing going up and down the 15 for the ILS. But no, I mean, if you want to go over the top, that's cool. But if you want us to go up and down the shoreline 1,000 feet, yeah, that usually works really well. That's kind of naturally deconflicted with everybody. Yeah, that's a nice one. Sure. It's the guy who comes up the shoreline though and plays "I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you," and then keeps on going. That's it. You know, I have 2 kids. I know that game. It actually makes me extra angry. Yeah, no, but yeah, the shoreline's a good one. That's fine. Because I mean, a delta is just 2-way communication, right? I mean, that's all we need. It's not even a clearance. Yeah. What else? Yeah.
You can go to 15. So coming down to 15 south.
I'm sorry, you're next. Yeah. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Normally, you get ready for the Bravo transition to Miramar, but it seems like you're always getting conflicting a lot of ILS traffic. Jets coming in on 2-4 there.
Yep.
So 3,500 is usually what you're at for VFR.
But the problem is, it shortens your taxi, yes, but you have to slow down a lot more to make a 135-degree turn backwards, whereas there's this lovely 45-degree turn right here, and we keep it empty for you. So if there's someone right behind you and it's close, we'd rather you just go coasting right off at Alpha 4 or Alpha 5. Yeah, and we can use the same trick he was talking about too. If you're past Alpha 5 and it's just like a single engine behind you, we can land behind you too. So I've actually hustled people past Alpha 5 to Alpha 6, but usually it surprises people because they're not going to do that. So they're not really, again, no surprises, but they're not expecting it. But yeah, the Alpha 3, if you're going to do that, my advice to you would just be say, hey, you mind if I take the reverse? Since I know a lot of people want to do that and I know which planes are +1 planes, sometimes I'll say reverse Alpha 3 is approved contact ground or taxi and monitor ground. So yeah, but at our airport, one of the, just for fun knowledge, one of the biggest things you have to do on ground, because we don't have a particularly complex airport layout, let's be honest, is more or less no matter what you're doing, you have to keep those 2 intersections clear, like all the time. You have to watch what tower's doing because of that exact thing that you're talking about.
Plus you have airplanes being towed in and out of
Yeah.
Atlantic there.
Ton of tows, yeah, exactly, all day long. They're jockeying airplanes around right on there. And it's even on the airport diagrams, it's all circled. That whole midfield area is a hot spot. Yeah, it's a big deal for us. But yeah, we prefer you take a forward high speed always. But if you're going to take a reverse, just say something. Again, just no surprises. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that.